She didn't even knock. I was fixing the porch light, half listening to my daughter humming inside. Just a regular Sunday. Then out of nowhere, this woman stormed through the front gate like she owned the whole block, blonde bob, oversized sunglasses, and that damn clipboard, clutched like a weapon. You can't have that ramp here. She barked, jabbing her pen toward the wooden slope we'd installed for Ellie's wheelchair. It violates HOA design rules. I turned, squinting at her. Ma'am, there's no HOA here. She smirked, pulling out a folded paper like it was the Declaration of Independence. We reinstated it last week, unanimous vote. I'm the acting president. I looked at the paper. It was a cheap printout. No stamps, no signatures, total garbage. Before I could say a word, Ellie rolled up beside me, her little hands gripping the wheels tight. She looked confused. Daddy, what's happening? Karen's face twisted when she saw her. Oh, this is why you need the ramp, sorry. But sympathy doesn't override community aesthetics. My chest tightened. Back off. She leaned in too close. You can either take it down or I'll make a formal complaint. That's when things went from ridiculous to evil. She reached in her purse and pulled out a small black pistol. Move, she ordered. I froze. Ellie screamed, and before I could shield her, before I could blink, a shot rang out my ears, rang my knees, buckled. Ellie slumped over, clutching her stomach. Karen just stood there stunned like she was the victim. I didn't mean to. I dropped beside Ellie. Blood, too much blood. My hands shook. Call an ambulance, I roared. Karen backed away, muttering something about self-defense. She charged at me. I swear. Ellie weighs 62 pounds. She's paralyzed from the waist down. Karen ran off before the sirens came. But she didn't know two things. One, I wasn't just a dad. Two, she just declared war on the man who trained SWAT units to clear terrorist compounds. She had no idea who she shot or who she just made her enemy. I didn't fight overseas just to come home and let some HOA clown shoot my daughter on my own lawn. The hospital lights were blinding cold, sterile, but Ellie was still breathing. Tubes, machines, blood bags. Everything felt like a nightmare stuck on pause. The doctor said the bullet missed her vital organs by inches. She was stable, but surgery would take hours. I sat there, fists clenched, trying not to fall apart. That's when Deputy Miller showed up. Good guy, local, knew me from the academy. I heard what happened, he said, eyes wide. But there's a problem. Karen filed a report first. I stood up, heart racing. What do you mean first? She claims you threatened her, that you were building illegal modifications. And your daughter lunged at her. I laughed, but not the good kind. She shot a disabled child on my property. Miller looked around, uneasy. I believe you, but she's got connections. Says she's interim HOA president. We couldn't find any HOA paperwork, but somehow she got a judge to approve a temporary restraining order against you. I stared at her. You're joking. He shook his head. Court order says you can't come within 100 feet of your own house until the investigation's over. Says it's an active crime scene. My blood went cold. I had to fight every muscle in my body not to flip the chair I was sitting on. She planted that HOA notice. She shot my daughter, and I'm the one getting kicked off my land. Miller lowered his voice. Look, I can't say this officially, but you need to stay calm, fight it the right way, the right way. I was trained to breach drug dens, dismantle gang operations, take down armed insurgents, but this felt dirtier than anything I saw in war. I nodded, but inside I was already gearing up. Because Karen made one fatal mistake. She thought she could erase my life with a fake title and a gun. But she didn't know I had security footage, hidden cams, audio dates, times witnesses, and she really didn't know my old unit owed me favors. This wasn't just about revenge. This was about making sure she never did this to anyone again. She used a fake law to take my home. Now I'm using real law to take her freedom. I stayed in that hospital chair all night. Didn't sleep, couldn't. I just watched Ellie breathe. Every rise and fall of her chest reminding me what was at stake. By morning, my phone buzzed with updates. Ones Karen didn't expect. First one was from Mitch, old friend, SWAT retired like me, but still had boots inside. He'd been reviewing the footage from the cams I installed around the house last year. Got the whole thing. His message read, she aimed, no warning, clear audio. She even said, sympathy doesn't override aesthetics. My jaw clenched, but the second message hit harder. Check this out. Mitch added, sending a clip. It showed Karen walking to my front porch 2 hours earlier, taping a laminated HOA notice on the door, bold letters, fake logo, and a forged signature that read, President K. Harmon. That was her real mistake, full name. And Mitch, he didn't stop there. He ran her name through the system. Turns out Karen had a history, 2 restraining orders from former neighbors, a civil suit involving forged zoning documents, and 1 sealed file connected to impersonating a city official in Nevada. She wasn't just power hungry, she was dangerous. But here's where it flipped later that afternoon. Miller called again. This time his tone was different. So the HOA notice you mentioned, we ran it through the city records like you asked. Turns out your entire block opted out of the HOA 2 years ago. It was disbanded legally. I stayed quiet, let him talk. And that paper she taped total fake. We confirmed it. And you were right there. Is camera footage good? I said calmly. Then we're done here. But we weren't, because 10 minutes later, someone tried to break into my house. My neighbor across the street, Lisa, texted me some guy in a vest is trying to open your back door, says he's here for HOA inspection, wants access to interior plumbing. I called Mitch again. She's doubling down, want me to activate protocol red. He asked, do it. He didn't even pause. Done. Karen had just triggered a federal alarm buried under her lies, because when you target a SWAT trainer's kid and tamper with federal home access, you're not breaking HOA rules. You're declaring war on someone who wrote the book on close quarters justice. She shot my daughter, faked an HOA, and now she's sending people to Breaking Good. She just crossed into my territory. I drove back to the neighborhood that night, even though I technically wasn't allowed. But I didn't step on my property. I didn't have to. I parked across the street in Lisa's driveway. She handed me a thermos of black coffee. Without saying a word, her hands were shaking. She was back again. She whispered, Karen, around 6, screaming about how you were illegally harboring surveillance devices, said she had authority to seize the cameras. I nodded. I'd expected that. What she didn't know was that one of those cameras was motion triggered and synced directly to Mitch's private server. He'd already pulled the clip, and it was bad. She'd brought to me, and one in a yellow safety vest, the other holding a clipboard like a prop. They weren't real inspectors. They didn't even wear the same logos, but Karen kept yelling, he's in violation, tear it down. They tried prying